In this video, I'm going to do a quick review of radicals. I'll just review what they are and how they work, and some associated vocabulary. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about radicals is just a little bit of vocabulary. Suppose we have here the 8th root of 256. So this 8, that's called the index. Okay, and the 256 here, that's the radicand. And then the whole thing, the 8th root of 256, that's a radical. So index, radicand, and the whole thing is the radical. Okay, and then I'm just going to quickly go through a whole bunch of examples of some square roots, some cube roots, and some 4th and 5th roots. So again, for vocabulary, notice that if it's a 2 or 3, it's called square root and cube root, but after that we just start numbering them, 4th, 5th, and so on. Okay, so a square root is a radical with an index of 2. Because this is the most common kind of radical, we are allowed to leave off the 2, and we often won't write the 2 for square roots. But feel free to. Just like we don't write 1x usually, we would just write x. Feel free to write the 2 if you want to, or leave it off if you want to. Okay, so the square root of 25, what's that? And you say to yourself, well, what times what equals 25? And it's 5. So it's 5 because 5 squared equals 25. And square rooting is the opposite operation of squaring. Or, for example, square root of 121. What times what equals 121? That's 11. That's 11 because 11 squared equals 121. Okay, cube roots. So here we have an index of 3. So, for example, you might ask, what's the cube root of 216? So what times itself? What cubed will equal 216? And the answer is 6 cubed. So the cube root of 216 is 6. Now what if we had the cube root of negative 64? So it's interesting to note that the square root of a negative number is not a real number. For example, the square root of negative 121, I'll write this underneath, square root of negative 121 is 11i, because 11 squared is 121, and I squared is negative 1. But the cube root of negative 64 is just, it's a perfectly good real number. It's just negative 4. Because negative 4, and when you write this down, put it in brackets, negative 4 cubed is negative 4 times negative 4 is positive 16 times another negative 4 is negative 64. So that's a perfectly normal thing to do. If our index is odd, then that root of a negative radicand will just be a negative number. If the index was even, then we have to resort to complex numbers, non-real numbers. But here, if it's a cube root of a negative number, it'll just be a negative number. And remember, if you write a negative number to an exponent, make sure you put that negative number in brackets. Now we'll just do an example of a 4th root and an example of a 5th root. For example, maybe the 4th root of 625. So you see the 5 and you see the 25, and you might guess 5. 5 to the exponent 4. 5 times 5 is 25, times 5 is 125, times another 5 is 625. So the answer is 5. And let's do a 5th root. Let's do a 5th root of negative 32. And that is just going to be negative 2. Because negative 2 to the exponent 5 equals negative 32. Okay, good luck.